viewers, welcome back to Pics, or It Didn't Happen. I am Fats King. I am joined, as always, by my brother, the Yeti. Say what's up, homie.
What? Well, don't tell me what to fucking do. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Cause I do what I do, and what anyway. We're here, and we're gonna do some shit, and I hope y'all are doing good.
We are starting off on a high note already. We're joined by a longtime friend of mine. We actually met about 3-4 years ago at maybe at the first Astronomicon that Paul and I actually were able to go to. We're joined by Luke the Goon. Say what's up, brother.
What's good, man? It's been about almost exactly a year since I was on the show last.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I usually announce repeat guests. I fucking forgot that you were a repeat guest for like 5 seconds. I really did. When you announced that you'd already been on, I was like, wait, when the fuck was he on?
Hell yeah. That was a fun one. And I guess I've been meaning to get back on here, and I just hit you up. It's like, hey, I got this idea, so we're running with it.
Yeah, it's real simple. Luke, he occupies the same space as we do. We are colleagues in this whole underground podcast thing. There's a few of us that are all kind of getting shit kicked around right now. Shout outs, Bootleg Dipshit and the Necronoma Girls. I think I'm getting the name wrong, but I know it's the homie Coachella and her homie friend. They're doing shit. I'd like to have them on as well. I see this as, whether we all are in this like working together or not, I just see this as like this underground collective that we're all kind of a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, I've always gone by the saying that high tides raise all boats, and that like, if you're doing well, if Roan Bone from beneath the dirt, whoever, if they're doing well, I'm gonna do well. Because it's just bringing more people, more eyes on the shit, get more people to watch your stuff. Especially like when you do collabs, like we're doing right now, getting different people on, then you start, different people start recognizing that you're doing shit.
Well, yeah, and it kind of helps each other, sort of like a jump start to getting everything going and sort of getting the algorithm to pick up that somebody, even if it is our five friends, somebody is watching it. So it's sort of that little bit of jump start and a little bit of life to the show to sort of get things moving and to be able to build things organically like we try to do, and good people that are good at this do, and don't just go out and buy your viewers and all that crap. Because that's lame. Works, by the way.
And you get found out.
Yeah, you do. You get busted real quick.
There's like very blatant some occasions, and I mean it happens with Spotify listeners as well. There's some blatant examples of people who buy YouTube subscribers or buy likes or buy Spotify listeners is probably the easiest one to fucking spot. You know what I mean? If you're somebody in the underground who nobody's really heard of, and you got 100,000 Spotify listeners, like, yeah,
your pocket's paid for that.
It's kind of fishy, man.
We all know.
Yeah, there's always telltale signs that give away if you bought for your likes and all those things. Like, it becomes obvious after a while, unless you continuously pump money into that and just keep dumping money, which actually is kind of what was happening way back in the day when we were doing the reaction videos. We had that one. I
don't even remember that dude's last name. I just
don't care about who he is, but like that's his whole game, like that constant dumping it in to get it in front of more and more people. But eventually that runs out if you're no good, because people aren't actually watching.
Yeah. YouTube's a strange beast, man. It's hard. It's a tough fucking game, because like if I'm gonna use you guys as an example, if half the people that like your stuff, share your stuff, talk about your stuff, watch the show, or actually subscribed, you guys would be at 1,000 already. You guys would be getting a ton of views.
We have talked about this. We're actually going to start doing special little things that make people have to watch all the way to the fucking end. Our favorite thing lately is someone's like, "I love your show. We watch every bit of it," and then we look at the little numbers and it's like 2 out of 10. It's cool. We see you.
Yeah, guys. Like, if you don't do the creative side of things, like the people that create content, like we have all kinds of algorithms and like numbers and metrics that they just give us. So like we know not all of you are watching all the way to the end. Like it tells us like now, like 75% of people quit after the first like 6 minutes or something, I think. We're actually a little bit farther than that now. It's building up. So thank you guys that are staying tuned, and we really appreciate that. It really helps things go. And
I'd like to just, if we're just going to take that time for a second, I'd like to just shout out a specific 3 just off the top of my head. Thank you, as always, Scotty motherfucking V, James Hatcher, and one of my personal favorites, my sister homie, Heather Greenwald. We love you, Lady Zool.
So we talk, quite often about, how we get into everybody gets into the underground scene and things like that. But I'm curious, what made you decide to sort of get into content creation?
Yeah, what pulled you into multimedia?
Something you dream about from a young age. So what sort of brought that out for you?
I mean, that's the other thing. I've been doing that shit for a long ass time too. I think it was like, because back in the day, like a lot of juggalos had like angelfire.com websites, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mine is still live. You can still go to my old Angel Fire website.
Get the fuck out of here.
If anybody wants to check it out, it's angelfire.com/SD. Because back in the day, I know it stands for South Dakota, but back in the day, my juggalo name was Soggy Dog. So like, so angelfire.com/SD/juggler, JUGGLA. And you'll see my old ass ICP website. It's so funny because it's like I've got like the Santa's a fat bitch thing up there, and there's a stupid graphic with Jay that says ICP taking over the 99 in 2000.
I'm gonna go check this out. I'm gonna make you send me that fucking link. I'm gonna go check this out on my own personal time.
Yeah, I mean, get back to the content creation thing a little bit. Like, I've always been the type of person that's like, if there's not something out there that I want, I'm gonna fucking do it myself. And like that comes to everything, bro. Video games, I was making mods for Skyrim. Like graphics, I was making my own graphics, doing my own shit. Like I've always been like a do it myself type person, where if somebody's not making this kind of content, and I think this is good advice for anybody, like make it yourself, because there's bound to be other people that are looking for the same thing.
Yeah, it seems like the thing you have to do is to just always be ready to continue learning. Always understand that no matter what you know, there's more that you have to know.
That's one time I think when the teachers actually were telling the truth.
Yes.
They just kept saying, it's a lifelong learning process. You're always going to be learning something. No, we're going to get out of high school and then there's no more tests. It's over. Well, yeah. We were definitely the ones that were wrong about that.
And what's funny about all this stuff is like I heard somebody say this a couple days ago, and it really like made a lot of sense. It connected a lot of things for me. And it's the man that loves to walk will get farther than the man who loves the destination. So you really have to like love this shit and not like be like, I want 1,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? Or I want to be famous.
You have to unless you have something that's lightning in a bottle kind of fucking success, you have to understand that it's going to be a grind, it's going to be a push, and nothing's going to come easy. And it's like, we may not be rappers per se, but we as, I'm not even going to use the word journalist because I'm not that fucking douchebaggy, but we as content creators in this scene, we have a major job beside the rappers to push the rest of this to other people who haven't heard music that you want to push on to other people, that other people should hear. We are almost a secondary arm of what they're putting out on wax and on CD and on your streaming platforms. We try to help educate people into the shit that we believe they should be listening to.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been like helping out Lydia from the Dead Bitches Brunch podcast that she just started up, and she messaged me and she was like, the worst part has got to be asking people to come on, getting guests. And I'm like, man, that's my favorite part.
Actually,
that's my favorite part.
Networking is so easy, man. Like, especially if you meet people in person and you get to talk to them and they get to know you.
But that's the fun part for me, man. Like, I remember when I put together the Mausoleum listening party for the Forever Face Alley, when we did the first Mausoleum listening party.
Yeah.
I put that all together and it was so fucking satisfying because I got every single one of those guys individually. You know, I went to Bill, I went to Lee, I went to Alyssa to get Joe, but I got Joe.
you went through the proper channel.
Yeah, and I got Slasher Dave. I got them all separate. It wasn't like I hit up Bill, like, hey, can you get the boys, round them up? I got each guy individually and set that up, and it went off like so fucking well. And it felt so satisfying. Like, I got all those motherfuckers in one place to do this listening party.
From conversation to actual production, yeah, it's a great process. More of a rush than you'd expect it to be, especially when you finally get that response and you see the 3 little dots on the bottom of your screen. It's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Because what are they gonna say besides no? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's the worst that you're gonna get. And then, you know, if you're, you know, if you know what you're doing, you got a whole list of other people you can hit up. You know what I'm saying? So
what do you see as going forward, what we can do as content creators to maybe help this move more?
That's kind of a tough that's kind of a tough question. Luckily the YouTube meta has swung back in our direction, where it used to be like vlogs and that kind of stuff were super popular. It's not really that case anymore. Like, you're getting a lot more of like kind of what we do, which is talking heads a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, that's the big thing, is like pushing back against YouTube. The thing is that we exist. Not only do we exist in the underground, but we exist in a subcategory of the underground, because we don't cover psychopathic. Not really.
No, and it's not even for a lack of, okay, so no, there are some 17 side artists I'm actually been in conversations with or trying to talk to, would love to have on the show as a counterpoint. But yeah, you're right. But it's mostly because we don't go to those events. Just, it is what it is. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the other part of it, it's like there's not really a whole lot to cover with them. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to talk about? You know, like
$250 concert that I didn't go to because it was $250.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got all the love for those fucking dudes. Obviously, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's something that like people get twisted. It's not like a bad choice of words. That's something that people misunderstand. It's not that I've forgotten my roots. It's that I don't like what the tree became.
Yeah. I mean, I still love those dudes. Like, I think they hit some bumpy spots. I think Shags is still cool as fuck. I think Shags is the most, out of all 4 of those dudes, including Twisted, I think Shags is the most down to earth fucking one of the whole bunch.
He took a minute to like mellow out, but
well, here's one. Think about when you were.
Which is wild if you think back in the day. If you think back in the day, like
that's what I was about to say. When you now that you're old, just think about when you were a younger ninja and be like, yeah, Shaggy's the normal one. What?
I think we exist. The thing is, I don't know, maybe this is just wishful thinking, but like I said, we are like a subcategory of the underground. And I think that we could possibly reach a more mainstream audience because we're not like swinging Juggalo around. You know what I'm saying? Because Juggalo.
No, and it's not that I think it's a bad word, but there is a stigma that comes with it, and you cannot say there isn't.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, there's definitely a stigma attached to it.
So as a content creator, because this is something he and I have talked about, the idea of, God knows if it ever happens, breaking into the mainstream, do you see that you would you give less love to where you came from if you were, say, to speak to someone like a fucking MGK? Not saying that you would, just putting it out there.
Yeah, MGK was a weird choice.
He was just I was just trying to name a douchey tool artist that had nothing to do with our scene.
Yeah, no, I think probably the opposite, bro. I've always it's always been weird to me that there has to be some like Hollywood celebrity or somebody big who is like a closeted juggalo. There has to be. And so I've always wondered, like, why isn't there like a basketball player that's like walking to the arena with a ringmaster jersey on? Or like there has to be somebody on that echelon that is a fan of the shit, but they just don't say it. And like that kind of shit's like, man, like what the, like, I don't know. It's kind of like a weird, it kind of bugs me, I guess, a little bit.
Well, like Post Malone was wearing psychopathic stuff for a while, but I think it's just because Shaggy gave it to him at a show once. I don't know if he actually.
I've always thought he wore it ironically. Like,
yeah, I cannot confirm that he actually likes it, but I heard that Shaggy took his daughter to a Post Malone show. Of course, you know, he's got the power to like do the meet and greet, and like gave him a psychopathic jersey. So I was like, okay, well that makes sense, but he wore it out in public, so maybe it's ironic. I don't know what's going on right
Yeah,
now.
but unfortunately, sometimes other celebrities wear our symbols and it doesn't look so great on Jeremy.
Yeah, right. Like that's the other side of that coin when he shows up in court.
Days of all the times, Ron, that was the shirt you picked.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Bro, when I first saw that, I thought it was Photoshop. Like I was like,
Nah, bro, I was like, that's legit, and we're gonna hear about it.
I thought it was like there's that photo. It's a legit photo of The Rock wearing a Riddlebox shirt. For
Yep,
years,
that's
I
real.
thought that was Photoshop, but no, that was legit. That was when they were like passing around like ICP gear and shit to the fucking wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, this is something, and now that we've brought wrestling up, I always likened the underground to pro wrestling, and you as a fan, I was wondering, you viewed some of the same things I saw as well, in the sense that one, you have to know your gimmick, two, you have to have a strong merch game, and three, you got to be able to talk.
Yeah, I mean ICP, bro. Early years, they were cutting wrestling promos. Nothing
Yeah.
but, man. That's like you look at that very first big interview they did on MTV when Hollywood and Disney dropped Malenko. That's Violent J cutting a wrestling promo, man. It definitely is. I mean, it definitely and the I mean the fan base is, you know, a particular sect of people like in wrestling. You know, there are people that look down on wrestling still, which is kind of weird considering how mainstream wrestling has gotten. I don't think that the scene will ever get mainstream. I don't think because of the nature of the music.
The closest we ever came to legit mainstream would have been like when the Six dropped, maybe around Jekyll Brothers when ICP actually played like
yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like Jekyll Brothers, I could see like at that era, like you could almost see.
Well, they played fucking Woodstock. You know what I mean?
It's in with that angsty emo rock. Like I could see them just edging in there. That's probably the biggest and closest they'll ever get. But they sold out. Like they pushed hard to get to that. Like
well, come on.
Now, like,
do you remember the TRL takeover? I do.
Yeah, the TRL takeover, and they did the what was it? The day of whatever. Like they did all these things to like try to get on there, but they tried to play it off like, well, we don't want to be on there, but wouldn't it be funny if like we took over the shit because they won't let us on there? Like, just say you want it, dude.
They like the Ray Day thing or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I don't feel like the way mainstream music is set up, we could ever get back to that kind of point. I don't think most of us would even really want to. But I will say this: it's funny when you break down lyrics of poppy mainstream music. Some of the shit that they're rapping and singing about, fucking horrorcore. You're just doing it to a way nicer beat. And like, I can never remember the name of the band, but everybody knows that Pumped Up Kick song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That song's about somebody stalking people and shooting the fuck out of them.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of times, like Violent J can tell a story, but he's writing like young adult chapter books, like Goosebumps. And these guys are pumping out like Stephen King. So like they're the same themes, but one of them's just better at it.
Sorry, I've never heard anybody compare Violent J songs to a Goosebumps book.
I'd at least give the man Fear Street.
Okay.
Can you imagine a Goosebumps book called just like Old Evil Eye, or 12?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been reading them. I think I would have got those taken away. Like, what are you reading? You can't read that. You need Jesus.
Everybody needs Jesus. So, what could you tell aspiring content creators? What kind of advice can you give them to help them make a decent channel?
Well, it's easier than ever to do it. I mean, there are so many tools available for people to make their own channel and do their own thing. Like I said earlier, I think the number one key is to do something that you think is missing in the scene, whether that's like covering. I mean, the Super Fake Time friends are kind of doing that now, like exclusively covering Super Famous. Pretty much. I mean, they're not exclusively covering them, but that's like their bread and butter. Like Zool's kind of my bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? You
Blue
know,
Light kicked it to me that he wants to kind of like talk to fans more than artists. I kind of like that idea as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to find something that you love too. Like I said, like, you know, the man who loves the walk is going to get farther than the man that loves the destination. Don't like set up in your mind like, oh man, like, you know, I can't wait till I hope I get to 1,000 subscribers or some shit like that. No, you just got to put your nose down and like make the content that you like, and people will eventually find it. That's the other thing. Like getting your footing is probably the most important part you could do, because like I know for a fact if I hadn't have put out my I went to Psychopathic Records video, that I might not be here right now. Because that video, actually it was my Joker's card ranking video was the first big one that I had. But that I went to Psychopathic Records video that I did is at like 33,000 views. And if I hadn't have had that positive reinforcement, I don't know if I would still have continued to make videos. So having having something that's like gonna, whatever you set your goal at, or like whatever positive reinforcement you can have, like definitely lean into that as much as possible.
Well, I also say be realistic with your goals. Don't shoot for the stars immediately.
Yeah, because I mean, shit, I'm not even at 1,000 subscribers yet.
Yeah, it's mostly just do it and keep doing it and get better at doing it and hone that. And remember, you really got to work the gimmick and like develop your brand and all of these things you really have to consider. There's so many, you know, hats you have to wear when you start doing this. And when you first get in there, there's a lot of things you don't consider, like, oh, like what I look like, what my surroundings look like, what my sound quality is, what colors I'm using, all of these things.
Oh God, lighting. I never thought I would hate lighting so much in my life.
I never thought I'd spend so much money on light and still need more to look, because this is a base level of okay looking for me. And I've already spent so much money and I'm just like, they're light bulbs. But no, it's not just light bulbs. It's friggin' filters and umbrellas and stands, and it's nonsense. So be prepared for things like that. And that actually leads me to the next question that I have.
Ooh.
Besides, you know, a camera and crap tons of lights, what's one piece of equipment you can recommend that you get right away?
I mean, a microphone.
Good luck.
Like, because this microphone that I bought, I think was like $100. I think it's the Yeti Blue. But you can get the Snowball that's super cheap as well. And because
we've used
only
the
if you're on the most tightest of budget, please.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, this mic is what really kicked off my whole like YouTube crew, pretty much, like Roan Bone, Mike Sears from Speaky Clout, and I mean, me getting on Fago Lovers. Because I had this mic, I didn't know him at the time, but Beneath the Dirt had put out a link to jump on his StreamYard, you know, to stream with him. And I just clicked on the link, and he said, because he saw my mic, he's like, you must be somewhat of a professional, and let me on the show. So that's how I met Mike Sears and fucking everybody else. And that was going to be that was the other advice I was going to give, is that go out and fucking talk to people. Like, go to events, talk with people, like, you know, collab like we're doing right now. Like, because it's going to, I don't like using the word, but it's going to get you clout within the scene. Like, it's gonna get maybe if you use connections within the scene.
I prefer the second term.
Yeah, I don't like saying clout, but it's basically the same. It's the same thing basically. Like,
it's gonna get you better though.
Yeah, it does sound better. That's
so much better.
That's why I was like, I hate to say this word, but it gets you connections within the scene. Whether it's somebody who doesn't even have a podcast, like Aaron Salin, or how the fuck you say his last name.
Salin.
We've
talked about this.
He's cool as fuck. And he promotes, you know, he helps promote stuff, helps share stuff. He's always been a huge supporter of mine. And, you know, I've met him at the SON Grand Size release party and shit. Like, and just meeting people and talking with people, you're going to get people that will at least check out your shit. Then that goes back to what we were saying about having quality. So people that you talk to check out your shit and you're producing quality shit, then they're just going to share it to other people. And then eventually you've got like, you know, even if you've only got like 10, 15 people sharing your shit, that's a big deal, because 10, 15 people, they know maybe 20 people, and then they, you know, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, but you got to tell people that you do those things. Otherwise, they're never going to see it. They're never going to show up. So those first steps are on you. You have to take those.
You have to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself. I used to make jokes. I used to make jokes when we would have conversations with people, and they'd enjoy what I was saying, and they'd laugh or whatever. And we'd finish, before I'd walk away, I'd be like, "If you enjoyed this interaction, I have a podcast," and I'd hand them a card.
Yeah, that's how me and you, we first met. We talked about this at the beginning, but Astro 3,
baby.
What's funny is, like, literally at that point, I hadn't known anybody within the scene really yet, because that was like me coming back.
Dude, same. Me and Yeti linked up at fucking Attack of Ninjas 2018, and that was kind of when this journey all began. And then Astro 3 was when we solidified. We were like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, like, because I remember you guys, I talked to you guys about wrestling. We were laughing at Lee Carver for like Baron Corbin, and
how'd that fucking work out for you, Lee?
Yeah, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, you know, I got a podcast. You know, wrestling picture didn't happen." And I remember I asked you, "Do you have a flyer?" And you're like, "No, I don't have any right now." Yeah.
I made a few connections under that smoking tent at that Astro.
Boom.
Oh wow, look at that flyer.
Yeah.
Attack of the Ninjas.
I got this from Joe Christie. It showed up. I got it. And this was kind of like the beginning of our whole thing. It took me forever to get this thing open because it was still taped shut.
Is that where the fuck you ran off screen to? I seen you disappear.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Joe Christie real quick.
Oh, dude, shout out to Joe Christie for every fucking thing.
Yeah, he just put out the super famous Super Show 2. I'm really happy to see him stretching out into doing promoting shows and putting on shows. I think that's cool as fuck. We definitely need more promoters that are going to treat the artist, that are going to treat the artist the way they deserve to be treated and all that shit. So, I mean, it's really cool to keep going in that direction.
I've maintained that.
His alley.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Christie is one of those guys who, like, I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him ever. Mm-hmm. And in this scene where everybody talks shit about everybody, that is fucking unbelievable. And as someone who knows the man, the reputation stands.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think you would ever branch out into anything like that? Would you ever want to consider, like, you know, Goon Fest?
Oh yeah, I mean, we talked about doing the Catacombs Festival before. And I mean, I'm thinking about putting on a show for I'm talking I don't know this show I should be talking about, but I mean, I have Carl's. I can use Carl's whenever I want, thanks to Mr. Tooth.
Trevor, we love you, brother.
Yeah,
that's a fucking homie.
I mean, it's a strong possibility that I'll at least be doing a show here or there.
And see, and there you go. You just brought that full circle with the whole connections thing. We keep mentioning these people who we've become friends with, but these are names. These are people who can help you get things done in this business that we're all trying to be involved in. And we've gotten this through this reputation of being legitimately good fucking humans. Yeah, I might look a little whatever, and you might not want to meet me in the pit, but come talk to me. I'm a nice guy. Luke's a good ass dude. It'd be a great conversation. You know what I mean? And it all comes from being good people. And it's like when we talked to Fritz the cat, he said his number one rule: don't be a dick.
Yeah, Fritz is cool as fuck. It was funny at I don't know if you saw him at Astro 4, but it was funny because I was like hanging out with him and the homie Noise.
Oh, we love that Canadian bastard too.
And he was just like, it's so funny that a dude that was behind Lotus and so many other fucking, like, you know, mainstream artists, like he's worked with Eminem, like a crazy amount of different people.
Looks like that.
He could just stand at Astro 4 and people just walk by, have no idea who the fuck he is.
Because you don't know you're standing beside royalty. Yeah. I remember when he popped up on camera, the first thing I said is, "Man, you don't look anything like I thought you was going to."
Yeah, I know. I always pictured him as looking something like Devereaux or some shit.
Well, we were talking about some bad examples of people who are content creators. I think all of our goal is to just not be that horrible juggalebrity that nobody wants to be friends with.
Yeah, I mean, it's happens to the best of them. I think Chuck Reeves has that reputation.
Chuck's a nice guy.
Yeah,
I don't mind Chuck. He's cool.
Oh yeah, I like Chuck too, but he definitely has that reputation.
It was surprising as fuck to see him at the Super Show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like that's what you're saying about going and meeting people. Like you see Chuck online, he's got a pretty tough bite, but you meet him in person, and he's cool as fuck. I've met him, several times. He was at Astro 04 too.
Yep.
And he gave me a big hug. Said he liked what I was doing and shit.
He had this little tool called a puff cone, and it had me so fucked up I was walking crab walk steps into the middle of a circle.
He was. It's annoying. It is. This kid, he will not stop moving, and like it's really bad when we're trying to record something because like it's like, bro, you turn your back on the camera and you actually are standing in front of the guest, and now you're standing in front of me. Will you go back over there?
Chuck is the last of that old guard too. He's the last person that's still, and he's transitioned it perfectly into. He's like, what, producing a movie now, and like,
yep, he is. Congratulations to him on that.
Winning beard competitions and shit. Like, Jew, me and you need to enter some of that shit.
I don't know, bro. My shit's kind of like homeless looking. I don't think I could win.
Yeah, and don't try to talk to him about nothing. If it even has been thought of in any kind of GQ list, don't even try bringing it up. Like beard comb, oil.
I don't mind beard combs. I've used oils.
Trimmers.
Trimming's not gonna happen.
Dyes and like all kinds of stuff. But
did this just become kick me in my dick on my own show day? What the fuck? Maybe. You got some personal grievances you want to air, motherfucker?
Like I said, this something that's going to be a little bit opposite is I would also say, don't be afraid to piss people off because it's inevitable. You're going to piss somebody off no matter what you do.
Don't try to piss people off, but just know you are and be okay with like, not everybody's going to like what you have to say, and they might decide to be a dick in the comments, and well, there's nothing you can do about it. Just ignore them. That's my advice, to just ignore it, because if you try to interact or defend yourself or anything like that, they're just gonna turn it around and they're gonna say more shit to piss you off. Feeding
the troll isn't really worth it, but I will admit that I am I'm horrible. I don't mind arguing in the comment section.
It's like
I got a bad habit of that shit. Like I just see a comment and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I gotta respond. Especially
if I know you're stupid. Like if your comment is just something that's like not constructive criticism, you're not telling me anything good, it's just you suck. Okay, let's elaborate. Why?
Well, and that's another thing, if you're gonna like be a dick in the comments and tell people they suck, like at least have the courtesy to like give them a reason, like anything, like at least be constructive with what you're saying. Don't just be negative. Like, it's garbage.
You know what though? Honestly, that's why we don't do a whole lot of reviews of things. Like certain albums and certain things we do reviews of, but it's just like you set yourself up for so much potential flack when you do shit like that.
Yeah, it's huge, wide open because, well, any opinion you have will absolutely, it could be the only possible opinion that makes any sense, and somebody will argue with you about it. They'll find something to be pissed off about.
Oh yeah,
that's why I said don't be afraid to piss people off. Like I do reviews, movies and albums and all kinds of shit, and it's just like you just got to say what you really think, because otherwise you're just going to come off as fake, and at some point you're going to get caught up in like your review or some shit like that, and people are going to find out that whatever.
Oh yeah, then you're sitting there doing the dance and spinning in circles, and well, what I meant was, and well, that's just never good.
Yeah, don't pull punches. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? But like, so like when you go forward, the next stuff you're getting into, do you want to do movies? Like, is that something you're interested in?
I mean, for a long time it was. I mean, I'll tell you what my real end goal would be. Like, what I would really like to start doing is working behind the scenes with the artists. Like kind of what I'm doing with SON. only like
Yeah.
branching it out more, like with noise, driving that motherfucker everywhere.
Yeah.
Like just working behind the scenes, like being a manager type.
I was gonna say, so you want to be a manager?
Yeah, something along those
know,
lines, working behind the scenes, helping musicians. Like, like we've been talking about the whole time. We've been building connections and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
we know the people.
Absolutely.
Like, if I am managing an artist and I want to get them on Pics or it didn't happen, I hit up Jew. I say, hey, I know somebody who needs to get on the show. Can you have them on? And Jew will either say fuck no or sure.
I don't think I've ever said fuck no to anybody. I will admit some people never got a response because they sent me music and it was horrific.
Yeah. Usually I'll just ignore it. But honestly, this is kind of crazy. I've only ever had one person send me music. Well, before I started the playlist for the Catacombs, I only ever had one person hit me up to listen to their music from my YouTube channel. That was it. I mean, now that I started the playlist on the Catacombs, I'm getting a lot more submissions and shit. But yeah, and I mean, I like it just went to like my spam folder on my Instagram account, so it was just like, well, I can pretend like I never saw it.
Hey, it's that easy. So talking about branding, how did you come up with Luke the Goon?
Man, that goes way back. I mean, I didn't talk about this, but back in 2004, I started writing for a horror movie website, horrormovies.ca, and I was there for like 5 or 6 years. And back then, it was like pretty common for people to use a like an alias. There was like on Dread Central, Dead Pit. They had Creepy Kentuckian and Uncle Bill. And so everybody back then, if you were writing for a horror movie website, you had like an alias. And I really love this comic book called The Goon by Eric Powell. It's really fucking good. If you've never read it, read it. And so I was like, well, shit, I'll just use Goon. So I just went by Goon forever. But then it got to a point where I was like, I kind of want people to know my actual name, especially because I was like doing reviews and like getting on movie boxes and posters and shit. And I'm like, Goon, nobody knows where the fuck to look for me. Nobody knows, who I am or anything. So it was a little bit, I guess, ego, maybe a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go by Luke the Goon. That way people know my actual first name.
Yeah, that works.
So yeah, I've been going by Luke the Goon pretty much ever since. I was Luke Nukem for a little while, but then I overpowered with Luke the Goon.
And you got to pick them because sometimes they don't land. Honestly, Facebook chose mine for me because they killed my original profile. So, but the thing is, I don't want people knowing my real shit, my real name, and all stuff like that. I just don't. It's not
I
really
think it came from the movie aspect for me. You know what I mean? Like, and that was long, like 2008 is when I started going by Luke the Goon. And honestly, I probably would have switched over to Luke Nukem had I not already had Luke the Goon on every social media platform.
Yeah,
It's hard to start over once you have all those things set up.
Yeah, I mean, Luke the
Everything's
Goon.
gotta
You
go.
look up Luke the Goon on almost any social media platform, and it's me. Like Luke the Goon on Twitter, Luke the Goon on YouTube, Luke the Goon on Instagram, Luke the Goon PlayStation name, Luke the Goon Xbox gamer tag. Like, if it's Luke the Goon, it's probably me. Wherever you look.
There's something else you could pass along. If you do intend to do this, find out whether or not someone has the name you want.
Mm-hmm.
And don't pick something that's super like, I know it's hard to say, but like, don't do something that you think is cute or it's funny or it's, if for the time and like, if it's going to really date you, like chances are it's not going to, the image that you started, when you were 18, 19, 20, first getting started. And then, 20 years down the road and you have something like, I love Prozac at Gmail.
Like Soggy Dog.
You don't want your professional context getting sent to that email. Like, try to figure out that this thing and consider what you're creating as a brand and it's something that people are going to see, and once it's out there, that's what it is.
Well, it's out there forever. It is
Yeah.
out
Hard
there
to
forever.
rebrand and change things once you've done something, unless
Yeah,
you're
but
small,
you know what, though?
small enough to go unnoticed or big enough to pay it off.
I see a lot of artists who have attempted the rebrand, and it's working for them in a few cases.
You can rebrand if you're going to be in a completely different scene. Like I had for a while, I was doing like cyberpunk coverage, which I don't know how many people know about that, but I was doing like cyberpunk stuff. And I was doing pretty good at that, but that also taught me a lesson that like audiences don't always follow you to other media. I was doing it mostly on Twitter. I had like over 1,000 followers on Twitter for the cyberpunk stuff I was doing. And I got to interview Mike Pondsmith, the creator of the cyberpunk tabletop game that was based on, what became Cyberpunk 2077. I actually got to interview that guy at Gen Con. That shit's on YouTube. It's just under The Dark Future is the name of the YouTube channel. And I did like 20 videos on that channel, but nobody fucking knows about it because I completely rebranded to Luke the Goon where I'm at now. So it like depends what scene you're in. Like if you're still going to coverage this stuff here, like, depends how extensive your rebrand is going to be,
and why you're rebranding. Like
yeah.
a small scene like ours, if you're rebranding because you were a total piece of crap, we still know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will get found out.
Yeah. That's for
if
sure.
You're just rebranding because you think, a friend of ours was talking about they're changing up a little bit of what they're doing, and he, hey, should I, change out, the last word of this from one thing to the next. So it's a minor rebrand, and it's because it's an evolution of what he was doing. So, things like that, they can work out. But if you go to a completely different, like whole different thing and change it up real bad, people won't even know. You're starting from square one.
Yeah, it's a rebuild process, which is almost never fun unless you've got unless you got a banger waiting, like unless you got like a video that is gonna fucking appeal to a lot of people, like it's gonna hit like, I don't know, like it's gonna hit the YouTube algorithm basically. Like starting over is like one of the hardest things you're gonna do. I mean, here's a good example of something that's, I think, comparable. Somebody like Ninja, who was streaming on Twitch, and then he signed that huge deal to go to Mixer, and his views like fell off drastically because he went to a competitor or whatever, somewhere where there aren't eyes. Like people are just going, like I just go to YouTube and whatever pops up, I'll watch. You know what I mean? It's not like I go to YouTube to watch a specific video. I'm just on YouTube, like looking around. And so, you really have to have, it would have to be somebody fucking huge. Like, for example, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is an example of somebody who like went from YouTube to Spotify and got bigger, maybe. I don't know. Like
he just seems to get bigger like constantly.
Well, here's something I'd like to, if we're going to talk about Joe Rogan for a second. I want to know why we all think he's such a Zen guru, like when he's just a guy who does a lot of drugs and punches and like kicks the kicking bag and shit. Like
I like Joe Rogan quite a bit.
Wow. I like him. It's not that, but like he's a stand-up comic. Like everybody's getting pissed off because they're like saying, "Oh, he's saying this and he's saying that." Of course, he's saying this and the things that he's a fucking. He's from.
He
fucking
calls himself
Boston.
an idiot. He calls himself an idiot. Like
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like, why are all these people getting so fucking upset at him for?
Because he has a big audience. That's it. That's the main reason why he has a big audience. So people are pissed off that he's saying stuff that could influence other people. But like the reality, like if you're listening to a podcast, really anybody, and you're like following their advice to a T, especially somebody like Joe Rogan, who, like I said, I love Joe Rogan, but I'm not gonna like listen. I'm not taking life advice from him. I'm not taking life advice from Joe. Well, I'm not taking medical advice from Joe Rogan, but like, yeah, I think it's mostly that he just has such a giant audience. Like if he didn't have such a big audience, people would just ignore him.
Yeah, audience size. That's really, it's a lot of power. It's a lot of power to wield.
Like what, millions and millions of dollars of power.
Yeah.
Quite
literally, actually.
But Spotify, what you're talking about, Spotify would be an interesting alternative because Spotify is moving into the video aspect now as well. And like, if
I did not know that.
Yeah, if they can integrate video the same way they integrate music, that could be a game changer. Like what you're talking about, having a collective. Can you imagine if they had like for when people log in that like listen to SON, listen to AXE, and there's like, hey, you might like these podcasts, and it's like Luke the Goon, Pics It Didn't Happen, Dead Bitches Brunch, like all these fucking people that do our podcast all on like a playlist. Like
that would be fucking awesome. That sounds like living the dream.
So because Spotify's already got like, millions and millions of people that are already in, people use Spotify just to find new music. if people could use Spotify to find, it'd be the same way you use YouTube to find new videos, use Spotify to find new videos. Like,
and while we're speculating some, and you talked about like with Spotify, if that was to become a thing, being able to work cross network with people that are obviously into the same types of music that you are and be able to make those connections. Take that a step further. Imagine what that could be when we have VR and you are able to work with people within the framework of that global music scene and interact in a face-to-face type capacity. I think it's going to be crazy kind of what the platforms of the future could be. I mean, right now, obviously, YouTube's kind of got its thing going and they're huge, but TikTok's around and they're kind of the opposite of what YouTube is now. They're quick 15-second short videos, but people are staying around and just watching hundreds of them in a row because they're there for hours.
It's occupying the same space that Vine did, where it's quick.
Yeah,
but
people are still doing it, even though YouTube, I guess, kind of going for that long form, but people still love to be able to sit on the toilet and watch a couple little videos because, okay, cool, well, I'm ready to go now. I can just put it away because it's a 15-second video and I'm not in the middle of a 20-minute video right now.
How did we ever shit before all of this?
Shampoo bottles.
You know what? I was a book guy or a Game Boy guy.
Oh yeah, there's usually there's like Goosebumps or like little US weeklies and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I just try to shit and get out, man. I'm not trying to spend all day in the toilet.
No, I'm just in and out.
Yeah, I'm just
real quick.
Oh my God! All right, that has been that's what we're gonna call this.
Shit, get out.
I don't know what else to say after that shit. Luke, I appreciate you being on here, man. If you ever want to bring us on to your show, or if we ever get a chance to do any of that shit we did with Fago Lovers again, you can just fucking ask me. You've already said it before, but just in case they weren't listening, where can they find you on this whole social media thing?
Well, I actually own LukeTheGoon.com now. So if you just go to LukeTheGoon.com, it'll take you right to my YouTube channel. Luke the Goon everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, like I said before.
So easy.
Every Thursday on Fago Lovers, 8 p.m., 5-piece with my homies, Joker's Gallery and Mike Sears. Also, undergroundcatacombs.com will take you right to the Facebook group that we've been talking about. I got a lot of cool shit planned, some interviews and some other interesting things planned for that. So, I think that covers everything.
Stay around, fucking pay attention, and be involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Always comment and like and
share
and tell your friends and tell your parents and you stand on the rooftops and shout your eternal love to the underground, and we'll catch you motherfuckers on the next one. Peace.